They call it the Big Apple, the largest metropolis in America. 8 million people scattered across 5 boroughs, each a city in itself. The core of the Big Apple, the bustling borough of Manhattan. Like no place on earth, New York is famed for its pace. Yet life here would slow to a crawl without one vital piece of infrastructure. Perhaps the most famous transportation system in the world. The New York subway. It's the engine that drives this mega city. 75% of New Yorkers have no car. They don't need one. New York has the best transit system in America. Yet the subway is a system under siege. Daily it faces a triple threat. From man, from nature, and from time. Count the perils, and the mind reels. 2/3 of the subway runs underground, under roads, under rivers, under skyscrapers. The system truly carries the weight of the city on its shoulders. Billions of tons of concrete and steel, asphalt and earth, all bearing down. Millions of liters of water threatening to flood in. A 100-year-old network struggling to keep up. And the most ominous number of all, 9/11. In these dark shadows, the specter of terrorism is no illusion. It's a nightmare New York survived and struggles daily to never relive. New York has a second nickname, the city that never sleeps. An insomniac metropolis in perpetual motion. Like the city, the subway never rests. It runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's the fastest way to get around. Average speed on asphalt, 10 kilometers per hour. Average speed on rails, 48 kilometers per hour. Conceived in the 19th century, it was the world's first subway with 4-track service. 2 local tracks, 2 express. No waiting. In a city choked by congestion, the subway was a breakthrough. From a single line, tentacles spread across the city to become the most extensive subway system on Earth. 27 lines run along 1,300 kilometers of track, enough to stretch from Rome to Amsterdam. Linking the system, 468 stations, more than any other system in the world. The system extends its reach through a complex web of infrastructure. 68 bridges over land and water. 14 tunnels under rivers. 2 key rail links. And one of the world's oldest ferries. Every working day, trains carry 4.5 million people, nearly the entire population of Norway, making it one of the world's busiest subway systems. Within this vital organ, life pulses at the speed of a New York minute. And every day, the city struggles to keep it beating and keep it safe. To outsiders, this megacity can seem one big, faceless metropolis. To New Yorkers, it's a vast patchwork of neighborhoods, each with its own identity, all linked by these precious threads of steel. Abe Monass has been a motorman for 21 years. Today, he's driving his favorite route, the number 3 line.
I think it's one of the nicest lines in the system. Just moving through the city, Harlem, Brooklyn, Manhattan, Chinatown.
His route takes him through some of the world's most famous real estate. Central Park, a green oasis in an asphalt jungle. Broadway, theater capital of the world. The Empire State Building, the world's most famous skyscraper. Greenwich Village, America's haven for bohemians. Wall Street, New York's bastion of finance. And a plot of hallowed ground, the open grave of the World Trade Center. Since the first line opened 100 years ago, the subway and the city have shared a single fate. Their history runs on the same track. Whatever lies ahead, city and subway will falter or prosper as one. Yet for the motormen who drive the trains, it's no joyride.
One of the biggest misconceptions of this job is that it's very easy. You have to pay very, very close attention to every little detail.
Every motorman shares the same motto: safety first. They're forever on the lookout for danger, from hazards large or small, mechanical or man-made. Every workday starts with a safety inspection, because on a system this big and this busy, the devil is in the details.
I check it from top to bottom, all the cabs, everything, make sure the doors work, make sure the brake system works.
If Abe finds anything wrong, he has the power to prevent a train from going into service.
My main job is the safe movement of that train. I have a lot of people in my hands. It can be a little nerve-wracking sometimes.
On the subways of New York, train operators collide with a dilemma: an inflexible schedule and an unpredictable metropolis.
We are expected to be perfect every single day. You're dealing with millions of people, and all it takes is one person to delay everything. It could be a sick passenger. It could be a crime.
Just because his train disappears underground doesn't mean trouble won't follow. On a normal day, Abe's biggest concern isn't terrorists, it's his fellow citizens.
New York is New York. We have crime up here and down there, just like we do in the streets. Anything that happens in the street happens in the subway.
The subway also carries its own built-in hazards. In 1991, 5 people were killed and more than 200 injured when a train derailed in Manhattan. In 2000, 66 people were injured when another train derailed in Brooklyn. Accidents on the subway are like farms in Manhattan, a rarity. Yet no motorman can take the throttle without looking over his shoulder at the disasters that struck other systems. 1975. A crowded rush-hour train crashes into a dead end on the London Underground. 43 people die. 1995. The worst subway disaster in history. In the capital of Azerbaijan, a crowded subway train catches fire in a tunnel. Some 300 people perish. Then there's terrorism. French police blame radical Muslims for a 1995 attack on the Paris metro. Russian police suspect terrorists in the 2004 bombing of the Moscow subway. Perhaps the most frightening, the deadly sarin gas attack on the Tokyo subway that sent thousands to the hospital and 12 to their grave. And then came 9/11. It drove the message home.